Welcome to Hope for Everybody, a channel that exists to highlight people and places that are all about providing hope to people in need. Check out today's episode.
Hey everybody, this is Brandon with Hope for Everybody. On our channel, we highlight organizations that give hope for everybody and people whose lives have received hope. I'm here with Ashley Blain from Four Saints Food Pantry of Fort Worth, and she is going to give us some background about herself and how Four Saints Food Pantry is making a difference in our community and giving hope for everybody. So, Ashley, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for having me. So I'm Ashley Blain. I'm the Executive Director at Four Saints Food Pantry. It's a relatively new role for me. I've only been with the organization since December. But to answer your question a little bit about me, I am a public health professional. I have a long-standing background working in the hospital systems. I spent some time at JPS Hospital, Texas Health Resources, and a couple others throughout my early phases in my career. And it quickly became apparent to me that my heart was with disease prevention and not tertiary care or treatment after the fact. I got very frustrated watching all these individuals come into the hospital, into the ER on gurneys for chronic conditions that could have easily been managed or even prevented entirely if communities had the resources they needed preemptively to just promote their health and well-being. So I kind of shift my focus from tertiary care and taking care of people in the hospital setting to trying to promote health and well-being in the communities via different food access programs and just like lifestyle and wellness programs. So that kind of brought me to Four Saints. Prior to Four Saints, I was with Tarrant Area Food Bank as their director of grants. So I was largely just focused on fund development, specifically grant fund development, and making sure that we were able to sustain and to fund those programs that the food bank was doing. Some of them were like gardening programs, school pantries, things of that nature. So all things very close to my heart. Four Saints was actually a partner pantry for Tarrant Area Food Bank, so they were familiar with me. I was familiar with them. And it just so happened that the stars aligned where I have a daughter, my youngest daughter. She unfortunately sustained some injuries at birth, and so she lives with disabilities, and her health started to pretty drastically decline, and I was kind of struggling with, do I take a step away from my career and from doing the thing that I love, which is helping other people, to be able to help my daughter? And you know, how do I manage that? And it was a struggle. Trying to figure out what next steps were. And so I had a recruiter who was familiar with me who said, hey, look, we know of you, Four Saints knows of you, they have a position open for an executive director. Is that something you would be interested in interviewing for? And so I did, and it just happened to align, and God sort of orchestrated that I could continue doing the work that I was doing at the food bank through the food pantry, but I could do it with a little more flexibility. So that I could manage my obligations at home as well. So that's kind of how I landed there, and it's been a great fit so far.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about Four Saints Food Pantry and the differences that you intend to make, and not just in the food pantry and how it operates, but in the lives of the people who receive the help.
Absolutely. So Four Saints was founded in 2017. And they have seen just expansive growth, especially in, I'd say, the past year and a half. Mm-hmm. So up until about a year and a half ago, they were serving about 70 households per week. And we have seen that skyrocket, which was one of the reasons why they needed to hire an executive director. So on average, we're seeing anywhere from 250 to 315 households per week. Each household has anywhere from 4 to 5 clients on average, or individuals that we're serving. And so at the end of it, if you do the math, we're actually providing food for about 4,500 people per month between our Friday distributions and our Saturday distributions. So they do really impactful work, and I'm excited to be a part of it and help to kind of facilitate the next step in Four Saints' journey, which is to implement some more programs.
Right. So tell me about, you said something about the trying to help people be more healthy in the food that you provide to them, instead of just giving them anything, so that way they're possibly eating unhealthy and it's contributing to their disease or illness. You're trying to make a difference in that, right?
Absolutely. So geographically, we are placed in an ideal position to tackle the chronic disease epidemic in the east side. Not just statewide, but even nationally, the zip codes that we largely see clients from on the east side, Lancaster Avenue, Meadowbrook neighborhood, they have some of the worst public health outcomes when it comes to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular disease. In fact, more than half of the neighbors in that community do struggle with one of those chronic conditions, if not multiple. So based on our location, I think we're in a really good position to be able to kind of try and combat that reality and to remove some of those social determinants of health that might be contributing to that. That area is a food desert, so for the most part, people don't have access to grocery stores. They're going to have to go to the gas station to buy a cup of soup or something, or they might have a banana that's available on the checkout counter, but they don't have like a full grocery store that they can go and buy their food from. So that contributes to it.
How far is the nearest Walmart to the area that you help?
I don't even know where the nearest Walmart is. There is one grocery retailer. The closest one's almost 2 miles down, and it's GE Foodland, and they actually do a lot for the community, including they conduct a program called Double Up Food Bucks. So it's great. But it is still about 2 miles away, and by definition, USDA definition of food desert is when there's not a grocery retailer within a 2-mile radius.
Okay, so what is the radius of range that your food pantry is willing to serve?
We are willing to serve anybody that comes to the pantry. We don't turn anyone away, but the majority of our clients are coming from, within maybe a 3-mile radius of our pantry site.
Right.
And it generally, based on our location, covers, we get clients from 3 major zip codes, but it's the Meadowbrook area. Okay. We also do see a lot of clients from Stop 6.
If you're liking this content, don't miss out on future episodes. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now back to the show.
Stop 6 is where I live, actually. How many people do you have volunteering, or is there a constant need for more volunteers? And if there is, then what would you say to hopefully get more help?
Yeah, so our volunteer base is great. We have consistently about 50 volunteers per Friday distribution who show up to just help facilitate the pantry process. We're always looking for more, especially as we're implementing a more food as medicine type pantry model, which sort of answers your previous question. We touched on the chronic disease in that area. Mm-hmm. One of the initiatives that we're looking to try and combat that reality and kind of disrupt that social determinant is we are partnering with Texas Health Resources, who will come and provide screening opportunities for our clients on a mobile bus unit. And then if they find any of these clients are dealing with chronic disease, they're actually going to provide that information to us, and we're going to provide a modified pantry experience where these clients are able to get food conducive to managing these newly found conditions.
Okay.
So
that's more than just like giving people food. You're actually trying to save lives out here.
Right. We're trying to nourish and not necessarily just feed. I think that there's a difference between feeding somebody and nourishing somebody. I don't want to give empty calories. I don't want to contribute to disease. I don't want to provide somebody with 4 different varieties of cookies when they're trying to manage insulin resistance. I want to give them food that's conducive to their health and well-being and really just supporting the body.
Right. So as someone who's been involved in nonprofit and grant writing and now food pantry and in a more authoritative position, have you ever seen other nonprofits doing something like after a while of doing it, you see them doing something and then you learn from them and are better able to operate yourself to make a difference in your own nonprofit?
Yeah, I feel like my whole career has been doing that. Every time I've gone anywhere I've worked, there have been best practices that I've learned and I've taken away, but there's also lessons learned where I'm like, I don't necessarily like the way that was done, or I didn't feel like that was the most effective. I didn't feel like it was the best return on the investment for the money being spent on a given program. So I've certainly learned in every entity I've worked at, not only best practices and things I want to replicate, but things I want to do differently.
Okay. Let me get a question or two off of this. Do you agree it would be helpful if there was a way you learn more about the people who came to you for your services, what other agencies they visited, how much help, if any, was given to them? Do you think your nonprofit could benefit from that, or is that something that doesn't really apply to y'all?
I'm not really sure. I can see how it would be of interest, yes, but I don't know that it would change the outcome. We tend to, if you come and you're looking for food, we're going to provide food regardless of whether or not you went to another pantry with a different organization 3 days before. Our job is, to be the hands and feet of Christ and to do the work, and, we're not going to police or discriminate or try to, make sure that people aren't utilizing multiple organizations for resources. So, it would certainly be of interest. Are we actually meeting the client need, or are we only a stopgap or a bandage and they're having to outsource elsewhere? There's pertinent information, I think, that could be learned in that, but at the same time, I don't think that I would utilize it to the point where I'm making decisions about whether or not I would serve clients based on it.
Okay, so I think that's absolutely amazing that you won't discriminate and that you're just simply trying to help people and give them hope, because I've been hungry before and I know how quickly hopelessness can set in. So the fact that you're putting food on people's tables and that's a priority, and you're caring about their health, and it's through a faith-based system, that just makes the world a difference. And that's what Hope for Everybody's trying to do, is to express and highlight those people and organizations that are actually making a difference in their community, not just simply dryly providing a service. Mm-hmm. People who are building bonds and relationships with the people who they're helping, coming to know who they're dealing with, and so if you have anything else that you would like to say, any means of help that could possibly be provided or needs that you'd like to bring to attention of the viewers, what would you like to say?
Yeah, honestly, so much of what makes us impactful are our volunteers. It's the relationships. And what's actually interesting is, though, yes, we are primarily focused on serving individuals that are struggling with food insecurity, we're also serving our volunteers. We have very consistent volunteers who get so much out of the exchange. And what's really interesting about our model and our mission is to serve the nutritional needs of the population, the community we serve, with dignity. And in that model and the way we have it structured, I really feel like it feeds both sides of the grocery cart. Mm-hmm. It's feeding the volunteers. They're getting, a lot out of that exchange, out of that experience. And I think even a couple of the volunteers that you met with and talked today kind of alluded to that fact. There's a lot to be received by giving. If I were to say anything, it's to just come out, to volunteer, if not with us, with somebody. Just be a part of the work, be a part of the mission of feeding people, and I think that you'll find that you're fed as well.
Right. So if you'd like to donate, if you'd like to help in any form, volunteer, giving food, you have advice, you just simply want to show up and give support to the people who are in need, I'm sure you can find her through the links that will be provided. If you've liked this video, please like it. And if you want to subscribe, please subscribe. This has been Brandon and Ashley. Have a good day and God bless.
We've reached the end of today's episode of Hope for Everybody. If you'd like to be a part of the show and tell us your story, please visit us online at hopeforeverybody.org.